Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors. A WC Knives. We're going to call this a parang rendition. This was sent to me by Szabo. Super excited. There's a lot to talk about here. Now, I discussed this one with William at Blackie's Gathering. Here's the thing. This thing was made several years ago, and Szabo can fill us in on how long, but it was long enough. This was before William stamped the steel into the blade. We're thinking it's AEB-L, which is one of my favorites. The handle scales are actually horse mat. Very, very intrigued. Now, it has a parang shape, okay, in my opinion. So what I wanted to do is use it as a parang, as a medium to light bush trimmer. We do a little chopping, nothing heavy. I took it in the swamp. We're doing some initial sharpness stuff here to show you what we're working with. Now, it is a used blade. It has some age on it, but let's jump into it. Before we do, guys, there was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Now, it's the weekend, and the real numbers, guys, the real numbers are anywhere between 15 and 29, which is just unbelievable. That's why here on this channel, we focus on the number 0. Anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. Vets, man, we love you. You have a place here. That's all it means. You're welcome here. We back to blue, or I back to blue over here. And it's controversial. It doesn't have to be because it's my cause. It's something I believe in. Don't ask anybody else to. How do you do it, Scab? Well, I try not to break the damn law. If I do, I accept responsibility. And finally, if you are an addict, never quit quitting. So let's just dive into it. It has a Kydex sheath with a leather slip on it. You can see we're carrying it scout style. Now here's the deal. This is kind of right here at the entrance. I'm really right here in the spot where I haven't been much in the swamp. It's going in. And the thing is, there's a lot of light vegetation, a lot of vines, a lot of things like that I wanted to use. The knife is insanely comfortable in hand, and I'm going to give you some specs on it here in a minute. It is a slicey bastard. You can see a lot of that stuff, it's just cruising right through. The handle is unique, not only because of the horse mat. Now here you can see the entrance, and I've told you guys many times, the swamp's right off the road. It's a very unusual tract of land, but I love it because you get different types of vegetation. Into my deer tree hugging friends, all I was doing was clearing out a trail. We didn't chop any trees down. Anything that we chopped, I found laying out there. Here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. This thing, I adore it. I got home, I guess, around 3:30, 4 o'clock, grabbed it, headed straight to the swamp, and was out there for several hours. Palmettos, if you don't hit them right, they get a little bounce. They're not super tough to chop down. That's not what I'm saying. But if you haven't chopped them, they'll give you some reverb. They'll give you some bite. And this thing cleared it. I mean, just went straight through it. I think it's a great swamp type tool, if there is such a thing. Now, I used it more as a machete. Here's the thing. It's light, it's fast, it's sharp, very comfortable in hand. The horse mat really got some good grip. Now, you're going to see me cut a lot of palmettos. One, I've got something planned I'm working on out there. I'm going to need the palmettos. For the dead ones, you see me spin it around. I used the back, just bashed them off, slapped it right there, a little bit slapped with a parang. Again, this is a super slicey knife. Super slicey parang. Cuts right through any light vegetation. I'm going to be honest with you, we chopped some live stuff like this, and I found a couple of logs that were dead to give you a little harder surface. Cruised right through them. Let me give you some specs real quick. The overall length on this thing is 16 inches. Now, if you heard my tape measure, I typically pull these while I'm doing my narration. The blade length is right at 9 5/8. The cutting edge is 7.5, almost dead nuts. The choil is not sharpened, so you can get a good fencing grip. You can choke up for stuff like this. You can see the sliciness. The blade width at its widest point is 2 3/8 inches. The blade thickness, or the blade material, is, I believe, is right at 1/8. Yeah, And really, when it's heat treated correctly, when it's done correctly, that's really perfect for this type of environment. Here we've got a deader log, or a log that's more dead. I don't know if I said that correctly, probably didn't. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure. But right here, the control. I'm choked up, being able to get some quick chops. Now, I got this from Donnie B All Day, where you pretty much just kind of chop a point on it. And shout out to Donnie, shout out to Joe from JS Bladecraft, shout out to William Collins. He has a channel, very good channel. And then, of course, Blackie Thomas. We got to get more into our shout outs. The thing I wanted to focus on with this blade is the handle. The handle is actually, overall length is about 6 3/8. The inner grip, and that one's the most important to me, is 5 5/8. Here's the balance point. Super scientific. You see it right there. Now, is that dead nuts? I don't know. It's close to it. I made me a little walking stick. But what I was going to say, guys, that inner grip, and that's just where your fingers wrap. That's what we call the inner grip. Dude, at 5 3/8, there's not a hand on this planet this thing wouldn't fit comfortably. Now, there you see a little slicing. Now, you see the bites we get. Very, very conducive for light chopping. At the bottom of the handle, it's just got a slight curve. I believe you've seen it a while ago. It's almost, you've seen it there, like a pistol grip. But it's a little leaner right there, so I can wrap my pinky and get some great pop chops, almost like swinging a kukri. Now, again, you see the bites. This was a tree that had fallen over, which is perfect. In the swamp, everything we've had some storms. And so if I can get out there within a week or so, I can find some pretty good stuff to cut and chop, etc. Right here, let's watch the bite. Very, very, very tough blade. I spent a lot of time, and I've said this many times, talking to William at Blackie's Gathering. I love doing that. I love picking his brain. I was able to mess with a couple of knives he brought. Everything Williams does is very well thought out. He's not scared to experiment. The horse mat was an experiment. I like that. I like somebody that thinks a little bit out of the box. And you see right here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to be quiet 1 second. Let's see if it's right here. Right there. Clean slice. Now, it's not a huge log. We're not saying it is. And this tree that I'm around right here, now this was a dead log, leaned over the tree. So I'm going to be quiet and let you hear the slaps, but it's still getting great bites. You see right there, even with a dead log, something that's a little harder, something that's more dried out, the knife slices. It chops, but look, really, really good chopper. All right, right here, this is some of nature's barbed wire. I wanted to get a good picture of it. This is actually some thorns that were growing out there. I tried to pick stuff. Like I said, what I want to start doing, guys, is give you real looks at knives doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, again, I can only guess that this is a light machete type parang. I feel pretty confident in that. It hits very hard. It's real slicey. And I would say I used it for about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours right in there. No hot spots on the handle. Felt very, very good in hand. There's a good money shot of my ass. That's usually typically for OnlyFans only, so you can feel blessed with that. But it felt really good in hand, and I noticed I didn't get any hand fatigue. There was no shock in the wrist. So it's a handle that's done very, very well. And again, these palmettos, I'm going to use the tops. I got a little thing working that I'm hoping to do on the first cold snap. So I'm collecting those up. But again, you see just a perfect little swamp tool. I would carry this in any of my Northeast Florida woods excursions. Here, I'm just going to do a little slicing on some fat wood. Then we're going to cut some paper. One thing that I just adore about Williams stuff is it's sharp. Now, we all know that I cut the shit out of my finger. Everybody knows that. But I love being able to pick up a knife that I know is sharp, I know holds an edge, I know it's been heat treated well, and I know I can go to town on it. Now, this is the knife that Williams suggested Szabo put a little cutout in, like a little sharpening choil, so it can withstand a little more. Coming up soon, I'm going to get with Joe, and we're going to have William on and talk about batoning at length. I didn't want to jump into it in this video for the simple fact this isn't a batoning knife. This is more of a parang-like machete thing like that. That is a topic. I interviewed William and Blackie on it. I was intrigued by it. I want to do it on Blade Talk with Joe so we can deep dive it. That being said, guys, overall, there I missed, of course. Overall, this is one of my favorite like parang-like machete type things that I've swung. Simply because of ease of use, it's sharp, it hits well above its weight, it's well made. Williams out of Texas, and there you get a good look. There's a look at kind of that pistol grip, kind of fencing grip there. Guys, remember this. I'm Scab. You're not. Szabo, appreciate you, brother. Love y'all. I'm gone, son.